Hallo, 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 ihr Sucher der Wahrheit und willkommen zurück zu Gabriel Knight. Ja, ich weiß inzwischen wieder ein bisschen, was ich machen muss. Ich habe während der Aufnahme ein bisschen rumgerätselt, weil ich ein bisschen gehangen habe und ich wollte halt keine Aufnahme machen, in der nichts passiert, außer dass ich nachdenke. Okay, als allererstes gehen wir nochmal zurück in den Park. Und ich rede nochmal hier mit der guten Wahrsagerin.
You're back. You know, you really freaked me out running off like that. Yoo-hoo, anybody home?
Stay away from Getty, or you shall pay with your life.
What the hell is going on?
Ui, unheilvoll. Okay. So Spaziergänge im Park, die sind eh viel zu unheilvoll. Viel zu viel frische Luft und so. Deswegen gehe ich nochmal in meinen kuscheligen kleinen Buchladen und trinke da nochmal einen Kaffee. Das wird mir gut tun. Das beruhigt auch die Nerven. Koffein.
I knew you'd miss me, so I came back.
The
Ja,
excitement of seeing you is killing me.
wir haben dich alle vermisst, Gabriel. Trink erstmal Kaffee, das tut dir gut. Gluck, gluck, gluck.
Good coffee.
Sag ich doch. Und dann lest doch mal die Tageszeitung.
Times Picayune, dated June 20, 1993. Gabriel scans over an uninteresting front page. Under the cultural events section, there's a notice about a lecture on African religions. The lecture is at Tulane University. Gabriel's horoscope for the day. An evil eye is upon you. Change course before it's too late.
Lighten up.
Okay. Dann würde ich sagen, fahren wir doch mal zu der Universität und schauen uns den Vortrag an.
I'm going out.
See ya.
Wo ist denn die Uni? Ach, da.
It looks like the lecture is just starting. Gabriel decides to record the session.
Voodoo is the tribal religion of Africa, but the name Voodoo is actually a banner heading under which resides an entire body of distinct tribal belief systems. The word voodoo may sound familiar to you. What is known in the States as voodoo is actually an amalgamation of African religious systems, voodoo, and European religions, primarily Catholicism. All of the subcults of African voodoo have certain things in common. The most important is the worship of a pantheon of spirits instead of the single deity that the Christian and Muslim systems have. Some of these spirits are elementals. Some relate to specific tasks or places. Some represent important tribal leaders who have died. This spirit worship is what makes voodoo so easily adaptable. With all those spirits, it's no problem to add a few more. Say, for example, the Virgin Mary. At the height of tribal Africa, warfare was common. The one tribe would conquer another, and the Loa, important in the conqueror's tribal system, would be adopted readily into the conquered tribe's Loa pantheon. In this way, many of the voodoo cults spread and mingled throughout tribal Africa, enriching the belief system and causing innumerable offshoots. The basis for the voodoo religion seems to be as old as man himself. It has much in common with many early pagan practices: animal totems, sympathetic magic, elemental spirits in the trees, the heavens, the bodies of the sick. Africa is believed by many to be the cradle of the human race. Some of the voodoo Loa may be as old as the Garden of Eden itself. We still can't explain some of the real power of these primal religions. And note, I said primal, not primitive. There are African Bokors who baffle our scientists with their supernatural powers. Now, let's discuss the elements of voodoo.
Fascinating guy.
In voodoo, the spirits are called the Loa. During a voodoo ceremony, celebrants are possessed by the Loa, and this is called being ridden. The human worshipper is seen as a horse, and the Loa as the divine horseman. A person being ridden by a Loa takes on the characteristics of that spirit and becomes, in effect, merely a vessel for the more powerful entity. Some of the older original Africa Loa include Dambala, the great serpent god, Hezruli, the mistress of love, Papa Nebo or Gede, the lord of death, Agwe, the spirit of water, Legba, spirit of the crossroads, and the cruelest and most dangerous, Ogun Badagri, the lord of destruction.
I gotta get more sleep at night.
Tribe-specific Loa can have as much or more power as the more widely worshipped Loa. For instance, a particular tribe might revere highly the Loa of an ancestor who was a legendary hunter or politician. Voodoo temples are called Hounfors. Their priests, Hungan or Bokors. Their priestesses, Mama Loa. In a Voodoo Hounfor, there's a ritual circle marked by a center pole called a poto mitan. The ritual circle is prepared with a veve, a pattern of symbols. Each tribe's veve is slightly different, consisting of complex symbols that identify their special Loa. During ritual conclaves, initiates dance under the supervision of a Bokor and a Mama Loa, or head priestess. The use of totems or animal masks and markings was not uncommon in the original African ceremonies. Now, though, all but the oldest sects have abandoned this practice. Ritual objects used during the conclaves include the ritual gourd or asson, the ritual knife or kubasa.
That knife gives me the chills.
The ritual whip, or fouet cash, and the ritual coffin, or seke madule. These items are often optional, called for by the Mama Loa for specific magical rituals. The Mama Loa is the most powerful figure in any Voodoo sect. Voodoo is a truly matriarchal system. Even the Bokor knows his power is limited. The Mama Loa is the supreme woman. She butterflies, fireflies.
Ach, Gabriel.
Firelight. No, what is it? Gabriel?
What? I can't see.
Gabriel! Get in!
Can't. It's too small for me.
You must get in, Gabriel.
It's not mine. Too small.
Hide, Gabriel! Hide!
No! Let me out! Help!
Young man, the lecture is over.
Oh my God, sorry.
Ach, Gabriel. Ich werde aber nicht eingeschlafen. Ich fand das sehr interessant. Aber wir schauen uns erstmal um. Was ist da an dem schwarzen Brett?
Gabriel scans the bulletin board. Greek night at the Alpha Psi Omega frat house. It looks like it took place sometime last spring. There's a PA speaker on the wall. The seats are the fold-down kind.
Ich gehe mal in das Büro des
Are you a
Professors.
student?
No. My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Well, you have walked into my private office, Mr. Knight. I hope you have something worthwhile to do here. If you figure it out, let me know.
Wir reden mal mit ihm. Erstmal Smalltalk.
Your lecture was terrific.
Oh, you think so? You were snoring so loud I didn't think you'd heard it.
You must travel a lot.
Yes, to Africa, mainly.
I suppose having all this voodoo stuff sitting around doesn't make you nervous at all.
It's voodoo stuff, and no. Why should it?
I'm very interested in voodoo myself right now.
How nice for you.
Hey, you've got quite a collection of goodies here.
My travels have been rewarding, yes.
Your lecture was
Okay, wir stellen ihm mal ein paar ausführlichere
And
Fragen.
if I pick your brain?
Not if it will get you out of my office.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. Perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
What do you know about the Voodoo-Murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treats voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have no idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
What do you know about the...
As I said, I don't know anything but what the papers say. According to them, there's no reason for me to be interested.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
The Catholic Church has always dominated in New Orleans, and its imagery, in turn, has dominated New Orleans voodoo.
What else can you tell me about New Orleans?
If there's more you wish to know, perhaps you should read my books.
What else can you tell me?
If there's...
Nee, das wollte ich nicht. Ich wollte Schlangen.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knight, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd, the feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
A burning wheel? Huh. What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
I'm not in the habit of repeating myself, Mr. Knight.
Do you have any idea what Cabri sans cœur means?
Cabri sans cœur. Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term, I believe. It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, bulls, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
What was that translation for Cabri sans cœur again?
I'm not in the habit of repeating.
Okay, ich dachte, er sagt dazu noch irgendwie mehr.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of voodoo somewhat interesting from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true voodoo practices.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
I'm not.
Okay, dann mal
Do you
Tiermasken.
know anything about animal masks?
As I said in my lecture, which I assume you actually listened to, is that animal masks, totems, are used extensively in most African voodoo religions.
Tell me about bébés.
If you'd taken notes during my lecture, you wouldn't have to ask.
Tell me about bébés.
If you'd taken notes...
Okay.
Do you know anything about animal masks? Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight, I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as a fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse, in religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
No.
Fine.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's, very rare. Most voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible if that's what the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this. Mistress Azuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it. If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Azuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Hungan tremble before a possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Papa Nebo. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that the Loa will simply take it for themselves.
Mhm.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
I wouldn't dwell on it. Most voodoo sects probably haven't seen a human sacrifice for several generations.
War's das?
Tell me more about...
I wouldn't dwell...
Okay, das war's. Dann vielen Dank, mein Freund. Aber wir zeigen ihm mal die ganzen Skizzen, die wir haben.
Can you tell me anything about this?
No, I've never seen those symbols. Therefore, they're probably meaningless.
Really? Are you sure?
I am never wrong, Mr. Knight. Therefore, sure is not in my vocabulary.
Okay, dann zeigen wir ihm mal das Muster hier.
Can you tell me anything about this pattern?
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back. Here you go. You know, this is a fascinating veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself. Each of the symbols in the veve represent something, a loa, a place. Where did you get this?
Have you heard of the Voodoo-Murders?
No, you're kidding. Really? Then the voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this veve is authentic, then?
Authentic? Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I'm, undercover. You can contact me at the St. George's bookshop in the quarter.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this if you don't mind.
Okay. Da haben wir schon mal einiges erreicht. Ich
I'll
glaube,
see you later.
Goodbye.
damit sollte der Tag aber auch schon um sein. Oder kann ich sonst noch wohin? Ah, ich kann noch mal zu Madame Casanou und ihr erzählen, dass ich jetzt vom Cabri sans Corps weiß. Aber vorher muss ich mich wieder umziehen.
All right. But this is private.
Und ordentlich Gel in die Haare schmieren.
Things I do.
Und dann klopfen wir mal.
Yes? Who is it?
Ich bin's, Vater McLaughlin. Ich bin schon wieder da.
It's Father McLaughlin back again, don't you know?
Yes, Father. Come on in. Please be seated, Father.
Thank you.
Now, what can I do for you?
Ach nee. Ich wollte nur mit dir reden.
Do you mind if I ask you a few more questions, madame?
If you wish, Father.
Cabrice encore.
About Cabrice encore.
Well, are you going to tell me what it means, Father?
It means goat without horns.
Father, you surprise me. You do know what it means. You know what they mean by goat without horns, don't you? A human being. That's right. Slit your throat, cut out your heart. Pure evil murder.
Hallo Wicker, ja, du bist eine gute Katze. Lass mir das Mikrofon in Ruhe, mein Schatz. Okay, ich frage nochmal genauer nach den Menschenopfern.
Do you know anything about human sacrifice here in New Orleans?
Well, my great-grandmother could tell stories. She saw it. People say that sort of thing wasn't done in New Orleans. But the real voodoo queens did it. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Who were the real voodoo queens?
Well, my great-grandmother told me that Laveau was just a front, a flamboyant decoy. She distracted authorities from the real voodoo queen of New Orleans. It's been the same one for almost 200 years. She's head of a secret voodoo enfant. That's what they call their temples, you know. It's so secret, most of the voodoo people in the city don't even know about it. The real voodoo queen controlled Laveau, gave her a little bit of power, and used her like a puppet.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, my great-grandmother said that the real voodoo queen was the most beautiful woman on earth. She had the most incredible copper-colored skin.
Is there anything else you remember about the real voodoo queen?
Well, they are all brides of Satan. Other than that, I can't think of anything.
Mhm.
Can you tell me anything else about human sacrifice?
What is there to tell? They cut your heart out.
Okay. Dann zeige ich ihr nochmal das Muster da.
Does this mean anything to you?
No, Father, it does not.
Mhm. Dann gehen wir mal wieder.
Well, madame, I must be gone.
Of course, Father. I know how busy you must be tending your flock.
I'm not going back on the street looking like this.
Habe ich irgendwas verpasst? Irgendwas vergessen?
Lucy, home.
I wish you wouldn't wear that coat outside in June. I could smell you from here.
Ich rede nochmal mit
There's
Grace.
no one in
Got a minute, Grace?
What's up?
Do you have messages for me?
Nope.
Okay.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo hound fool?
In New Orleans?
I think so.
No, I don't. But it sounds dangerous. You're not gonna try to find this voodoo group yourself, are you?
Would I do that? Are you sure you don't know what Capri...
I told you.
Do you know anything about Veve?
I told you. I can't help you with that.
Could you do some research for me?
Sure, what?
Okay, nichts. Wir könnten aber mal die Profis fragen. Und zwar könnten wir noch mal ins Voodoo-Museum fahren.
I'm out of here. Try not to sell out the store while I'm gone.
See ya!
Hello, Dr. John.
Glad you could return to us, Mr. Knight.
Could I ask you some more questions?
Of course. I also find our dialogue stimulating.
Do you know anything about a secret voodoo hound four?
Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Knight. The voodoo churches in the city have no need for secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything about Veves?
I believe they have something to do with Haitian voodoo, but that is not really my area.
Mm-hmm.
Does this pattern look familiar to you?
Where did you get that?
You do recognize it then?
I have never seen it before in my life.
Der verheimlicht uns was.
Thanks a lot. Bye now.
Walk carefully out there, Mr. Knight.
Oh, das Schöne ist, es ist so lange her, dass ich das Spiel gespielt habe. Ich weiß gar nicht mehr wirklich, wer mit drin steckt und wie am Ende die Auflösung war, genau. Ich weiß noch so in etwa, ein paar Leute weiß ich noch, aber ich weiß nicht mehr, wie das Ganze war und ja, und das finde ich schön. Das finde ich sehr schön.
Hi. Do you recognize this pattern?
Don't look familiar at all, sir.
Can I ask you just a few more questions?
Whatever, man.
Can you tell me anything about a secret voodoo hound four?
Well, there's no such thing. Not around here.
Do you know anything about Veves?
No, sir. Never heard of them.
Ah, die sind alle so hilfreich.
The shop.
Ich fahre nochmal zurück zur Uni.
Mr. Knight, you're back. Oh, goody.
Oh, goody.
Mind if I pick your brain?
Not if it will get you out of my office.
Can you tell me anything about that Veve I showed you?
I told you I would research it, Mr. Knight. When I have anything concrete, I'll let you know.
Okay, der hat nichts Neues. Okay, dann würde ich sagen, mache ich mal einen Cut. Und dann sehen wir uns in der nächsten Folge wieder. Bis dann.